All right, bang. Today is Tuesday. It is January 23rd. Welcome to the Dog Walk presented by Barstool Sports. Tinfoil Tuesday, History Tuesday, whatever you want to call it, is here. Chief is out today. Filling in for Chief is the Wonton Don. Don, you've done a couple of these before, I feel.
Yeah,
yeah.
I've been on.
Yeah.
I remember, one time it was me and Chief just pinballing back and forth, random facts.
Yeah, I remember that. I don't know if we did one in Wyoming or not, but something tells me we might have. I know we recorded a bunch of these. That was a long time ago. That feels ancient.
We tried doing a high history. I remember where we just ate a bunch of edibles, and then I tried to tell you a bunch about history, but I kept on getting confused.
Oh, I remember you drank like an orange soda. You drank like a weed soda. I remember.
Yeah.
Yes, and then our camera kept overheating in the car.
Yeah,
and we were just like,
that was a rough trip. They were like, we really want you to come and cover this event, but yeah, we're not going to pay for flights or a hotel. So me and you just had to share a room.
Shared a room, just fucking two queens. But that was roughing it. We were right by the, forgot what the saloon was called, right next door to the hotel.
No, I forget. That was my first trip trying an Indian taco, which it's pretty much just fried dough with taco fillings inside.
Is that what they had at the camp roast or whatever it was?
They just had that at the rodeo.
That
they were selling. I didn't know that was a thing, but I think it's pretty big out west.
I think we ate like gator and a bunch of other meats too, like billy goat or some shit.
Oh, with those
at that stand?
Yeah.
Man, that was so
billy
long ago.
Goat.
I don't know what it was. It wasn't, definitely wasn't billy goat.
Did we try some beaver?
No, I didn't. I don't think we tried beaver.
I have had beaver.
How's that?
I've had beaver rangoons one time. What's
the review on beaver rangoons?
Better than just eating beaver on its own, I think. Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Beaver on its own is probably not great. Beavers are like vicious motherfuckers, I think, right?
I mean, I know they can chaw trees in half.
Yeah, is it beavers or otters I'm thinking of?
Otters. Otters are the ones that are very vicious.
That's what I thought of.
And they have like turf wars and stuff.
Yeah, they're bad boys.
Yeah.
Bad boys.
I mean, I don't think they like assault humans, but I don't know.
No, they're like they assault their own.
Yeah, they fuck with like all other water species.
Yeah. They're bad guys. Who knew? Apparently us though. Hey, before we get into it today though, Donnie, I do want to talk about Game Time. You've indulged in the Game Time.
Oh,
here, right?
Yeah.
Where have you been? What concert did you go to?
Actually, the last time I used Game Time, my wife really wanted to go to a Lauryn Hill concert.
Okay.
Yeah, so Game Time hooked it up with great tickets. I then went online though, and everyone was like, "Lauryn Hill's the worst concert I've ever been to," and like everyone was saying that online. I was like, "Oh God!" But the reviews all said she just shows up really late, so we showed up 2 hours late, and we're right on time.
Really?
Yeah. So it ended up being a solid show.
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
You had Game Time there for you.
Yeah, we had floor seats. Sweet.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And you don't want to get like the worst is, and I'm sure this happened to you too, when you get screwed at the gate, like something's not scanning or you got ripped off on like Craigslist or something.
Yeah.
You don't want to deal with that.
No
one wants to deal with that. So go do it. Tons of concerts, tons of Bulls games, Blackhawks games are still going on. Both leagues are in full swing. Concerts, I think Zach Bryan's coming here at the beginning of March. Actually, I know that. That's a good one. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Dogwalk for $20 off your first purchase. That's code Dogwalk. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Dogwalk for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. All right, Don, what do we get into today?
We're talking football today.
I mean, this is the season, right?
Yeah.
Championship Sunday coming up this Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, playoff games last weekend.
And not only are we talking football, we're talking Native American football.
All right.
So did you know that a Native American college football team was like one of the most innovative and greatest football teams of all time?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I didn't either. I first heard about this on like an NPR podcast really? Years ago, but then I read up on it, and it's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where was the college at?
I think it was located in Pennsylvania. It was called the Carlisle Indian School. And this was in the late 1800s, early 1900s. So it was kind of right after the last Native American wars, where just like the U.S. was battling Native Americans and kind of being like, all right, you guys need to go on the reservation. Like, this is our land now. But a lot of people, they're like, we don't want to get rid of the Native Americans. We just want to civilize them. Like, we just want to turn them into, like, we want to make them more like us. So that's why they started these schools. And the motto of the school was actually kill the Indian, save the man, which is pretty fucked up. But the school was about like teaching them Christianity, cutting their hair, making them wear kind of normal clothes, teaching them all the things that U.S. students would be learning those days, and also just teaching them American pastimes like football. So
no shit, they're really doing that? They were just trying to
just trying to assimilate them into like mainstream American culture. So I think they were like, it's kind of a dark story too, because I think at these schools, they like, if you were found practicing your native religion, you'd get beat. You weren't allowed to wear Native American clothes or anything like that. And a lot of the students probably weren't too happy about that, but they thought, if you're going to force us to play your games, then we're going to be the best at it. So the Carlisle football team got very good. And one of the reasons that is because they were one of the first teams to start using the forward pass. Now, the backstory of the forward pass, in the early 1900s, college football used to be crazy dangerous. Like 8 to 18 players each year would die on the field.
I knew that. I knew it was really bad.
So there was a time when they were going to ban the sport, and Teddy Roosevelt was president, and he was like, no, I love football. I don't want it banned. So he called a meeting at the White House with all the most successful coaches of the day, and they're like, how can we change this game so people are just not dying as often on the field? And one thing they decided to invent was the forward pass. Because I guess before it was just people just charging into each other. They didn't have the right headgear and stuff, and you would just get caught in those scrums or piles, and sometimes you'd die. So they invented the like neutral zone, where there's just like they made rules to install the forward pass, a few other rules too, just to make the game safer. And they thought with the forward pass, it's going to kind of spread the game out, and it won't just be these gigantic piles all the time. But at first, most teams were like, the forward pass, like, we're not going to do that shit. That like sounds like some sissy shit. And they didn't really know how to use it. But the Carlisle Indian team, they were smaller than a lot of the top college teams of the day. So they were like, we can use this to our advantage. And they were, someone on their team is credited with throwing the first spiral pass in a game. And they would like, even though they were a small Native American school, they were beating Harvard, Yale, Princeton, UPenn, because those were all the best teams of their day. They also invented, I think they're credited with inventing the reverse and the fake handoff. Like all this stuff that now is very common in the NFL is credited to them. Have you ever heard of the hidden ball trick?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's more so in baseball though, right?
So the hidden ball trick in football is on the kickoff, one person would catch it, would receive the ball, and then they would all form a huddle, and then they would just hand the ball to someone who would shove it in their jersey, and then they would break out, and you had no idea who had the ball. So they ran that play against Harvard. I think it was the first time it had ever been run, and they scored a touchdown on it. So
they were just like the first team to actually design an offense. All the other ones were just bruisers.
We're just bruisers right down the middle. Fullbacks were probably huge back in those days.
Huge, yeah. I mean, I'm just picturing just basically rugby, right?
Yeah, like football before these new rules were
just
put
scrums.
in place. Yeah, a lot of scrums.
Damn, so this school was just, they were just smart. They just saw offense better than
Yale. And do you know who their coach was?
I don't.
I'm sure his name will ring a bell. Pop Warner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pop Warner.
I mean, he must have been one of the greatest coaches of all time if they named that league after him.
Pop Warner doesn't get the credit he deserves, I feel.
I mean, when I was really young, I didn't think Pop Warner was a name. Like, I didn't think that there was a real person named Pop Warner.
Yeah, it's kind of like Cy Young, right? Like
yeah,
yeah.
I was like, oh, there was a real person named Pop Warner. And yeah, he got famous coaching the Carlisle Indian School for maybe 20, 30 years.
First offensive genius, Pop Warner.
Yeah. And yeah, I think Pop Warner is credited. He invented the shotgun formation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because you wouldn't need that back when you weren't throwing passes.
Mm-hmm.
And then the star player on the team was Jim Thorpe, who I think he's considered like one of the best athletes of all time.
Yeah.
Because I think he played professional football, professional baseball. He was an Olympic track runner. Pretty much any sport he played, he was incredible at. And so on the Carlisle team, he was their running back, defensive back, kicker, and punter. And I know like this one game they beat Harvard and Jim Thorpe had scored every single point for the team.
Damn, I mean, that guy, he truly did it all. I did not know that he was. Is this like on his Wikipedia and everything?
Yeah. Did you even know that Jim Thorpe was Native American?
No idea.
Yeah.
Like, that's wild. And you just, I know it sounds stupid for people listening to this, but when is Wikipedia? I'm used to seeing like Michigan or Ohio State. It's just Carlisle.
Yeah. Yeah. Which the school no longer exists. But when I was reading up on this, apparently in one game, I don't know who they were playing, but Jim Thorpe punted the ball 50 yards down the field, but it was a really high punt, ran the 50 yards, recovered the punt, and ran it in for a touchdown. Which is just like...
That's a stud.
Which is insane.
That's a stud. What do you think about that, Lance? Jim Thorpe, you a big Jim Thorpe guy?
I definitely had no idea he was a Native American. That's like a name you hear all the time. I always like these stories of these like guys from the past that can just do everything. It's like I feel like that breed of man is just dead now.
Oh yeah, like how Babe Ruth was a pitcher and a hitter. Obviously now Ohtani's here, but makes it a little less cool. But still,
even like Wilt Chamberlain was just like amazing at everything. He was like he could have went to the Olympics. He was a dominant basketball player. He could have done anything. It's just crazy.
Yeah. Deion Sanders, I don't know. He's pretty good.
He was good.
He was pretty good back in his day. And then one of their most famous games is when they played Army. And that was a really significant game because like their fathers and a lot of the students at Army's fathers like were fighting each other in wars only 20 years prior. So that's what Pop Warner, he gave an incredible pump-up speech. This is what he said. Your fathers and your grandfathers are the ones who fought their fathers. These men playing against you today are soldiers. They are the long knives. You are Indians. Tonight we will know if you are warriors. And then they went out there and destroyed Army.
Damn, dude. That's like, you talk about like battle. We lost a battle, but we won the war. That's what the quote is, I believe. That was actually like legitimate with these people. Like, yeah, this was not a saying.
It was personal.
Yeah, it was very personal.
And I guess when they would play schools like Harvard, people are like, "Oh, they're playing the Indian school," and expected them to come out with like wearing feathers and doing like chants and stuff. Mm-hmm. They almost thought it would be like a what was that Wild West show, Wild Bill or something? They used to do those shows back in the day, like Buffalo Bill's Wild West show.
Okay,
that was just like when they would have Native Americans going around and putting on shows, kind of just like shooting a bow and arrow off a horseback and stuff. But when they showed up, they were like that. They kind of just look like us.
Yeah. So that wasn't like what they expected at all.
No, but I think they did end up winning the heart of the nation. There were some accusations of racism when they played Yale, where they beat Yale. They had just scored a touchdown to beat Yale, and then the ref called it back for some reason. And the ref had gone to Yale himself, and then all the newspaper headlines was like Carlisle could beat 11 players from Yale, but they couldn't beat 11 players plus one ref from Yale.
Damn, big controversy.
Yeah, big controversy.
That had to happen all the time, I feel, back in the day.
I know, especially back in the day when you don't have instant replay and stuff.
Nothing, and there's just, I mean, I'm sure it was just a less day. The refs now aren't full-time.
No?
I mean, no, they're not full-time employees.
NFL refs, so what do they do the rest of the year?
Whatever. Some of them, I'm sure, do other jobs, other sports maybe, or they just, because think about it, like their job is how many games a year? 18, some of them?
Yeah. Around
17, some of them, excuse me.
But do you think they get paid enough those 18 games to just have that be their main job?
I'm sure they make a good salary for sure, but it's still like 18 days of work or 17 days of work, you know?
Yeah.
Which is wild to think about.
It's a very high stress job though.
Yeah, that's 17 days of heat.
We could have used some of those refs out in Uganda when we went, because our first game, we had one ref who kind of knew the rules, and that was it.
See, like I'm sure when this was really new there in America too. I mean, maybe it wasn't that level, but I'm sure the refs like didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, I was even told when we played that game in Uganda, halfway through, Billy was like, "You need to be a line ref," and he put me on the lines because the people doing it just weren't calling first downs, so. Every play, they would move the lines. So pretty much if you didn't get 10 yards of play, you wouldn't get a first down.
that was it.
And he was losing his mind, just screaming at everyone. And he was like, "Donnie, get over there and do the lines. These guys don't know what the fuck they're doing."
I mean, I could see how that'd be frustrating.
Yeah.
What would the guy say when you would like tell him like, "Hey, you got to move the yard marker"?
Well, he was talking to the ref on the field, and then the ref on the field was like, "I don't even know who those people doing the lines are." Like
the chain gang.
The chain gang.
There's a rogue chain gang.
Yeah, I think it was just like two people like from the Kenyan team.
That's so funny.
Trying to fuck him over.
Yeah. Oh man, Billy was probably so pissed.
Yeah. Football's growing though.
Yeah, no, I know. Anything else on the Carlisle?
The Carlisle, so they obviously no longer exist. I guess it was closed down and turned into a hospital. But yeah, during their heyday, which I think 1911 was their best season, where they went 11-1. I don't have much more. I know I want to read this book about Jim Thorpe and them called Undefeated, I think. Yeah, that's probably the extent to what I know about them. But Thorpe was an absolute beast.
Damn, I mean, they were too good that the Ivy League just got them shut down.
Yeah, well, like when you're the first team that starts throwing a spiral, like that's gonna change things up.
Rattle some cages. I mean, the first season I see right here is 1893, and the last season 1917. So it didn't last very long at all.
Yeah. Oh, I guess one thing to say is that Notre Dame gets a lot of credit for throwing the first forward pass, but I think that is not correct.
It's technically inaccurate. The Carlisle, the first in the scene.
Yes.
All-time record 173, 92, and 13. So 646 winning percentage. Pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Pretty damn good. I think the boys got screwed from what it sounds like. But yeah, it says a lot of people played in the NFL too. So they were a force. I mean, how many do we know how many teams there were? Like besides the Ivies?
I don't know. I know like back then there were pretty much no teams down south, it seems like, which is crazy. Like when was
like Alabama football?
Yeah, when did like Alabama first have a team? Because back then it was Harvard, Yale, Princeton, and UPenn that were like the big four.
The big dogs, yeah. Yeah, beginning of play 1892. The program claims 18 national championships. So 1892, so they're around. But maybe they just didn't get good. They won their first national title in 1925. So
yeah, it's such like a weird. That was such a weird time in the country because like I think we were fighting like the U.S. Army was fighting Native Americans up until the 19, like right before World War One, almost, or something. Or I meant probably the late 1800s.
Isn't it crazy to think about? Like, that really wasn't that long ago,
No, not at all.
which is wild to me.
The Apache, I think, were one of the last ones to hold out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, either the Comanche or the Apache. They were in western Texas, and the Texas Rangers were just invented to fight Native Americans.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, because those Native Americans fought on horseback, and the normal U.S. Army would just kind of like, they would arrive at the battlefield, hop off their horse and march, and then they would just get destroyed by all these natives that could shoot a bow and arrow, like while riding their horse at full speed. So they kind of trained the Rangers to fight on horseback, I think.
Oh, shit. Well, all right, Donnie. Thanks for jumping in for Chief today, man.
No problem.
Appreciate it. Talking about the Carlisle Indians, Jim Thorpe,
Yep.
Pop Warner. I definitely learned some shit.
I got the chills on that pump-up speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Pop Warner pump-up speech really got me going. I got juiced up.
Because it was real.
Yeah.
In a sense.
No.
Like, that was ants. Like, they had real ancestors in the fight.
And actually, one of the people on the Army team then was Ike Eisenhower.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
So.
And he was like, I think he was asked in his later years, and he was like, I will always remember playing against Jim Thorpe in that game, because he was just like the most talented guy I've ever had to go head to head with.
It's a star. Did it all.
Yeah. Well, that was Native American football. Tune in for Ugandan football.
There we go.
I think those vids will start dropping the week after the Super Bowl, if not sooner.
I'm excited after hearing about the first the yard. There's a chain gang. Are they like heavily featured in the doc?
Well, come the second half, I'm the chain gang, and I don't really know what I'm doing either, because I'm like trying to film the game. For our second game, we got more refs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There was actually, for the second game that we played in Kenya, like a fan of Pardon My Take, his dad worked in the embassy in Kenya. So like he showed up to ref, and he was just like a random like fan of Barstool.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, so look out for that. So the week before the Super Bowl, you said?
Yeah, either the week before or the week after.
Perfect.
We'll start dropping those.
Look out for us when we go to the Wisconsin Dells in a couple weeks.
I'm fucking amped up.
It's going to be awesome, dude.
I think I'm going to love it, just because there's not a lot of opportunities to go hippo mode in Chicago in the middle of the winter.
It's true.
Yeah. Like you'd have to fly to Florida.
Yeah.
But why fly to Florida when you can drive 3 hours to the Dells?
Yeah, exactly. The wilderness, baby. All right, Donnie, thank you. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Thanks for watching. That's it for today. Back tomorrow with a free swim. We'll see you then.